Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new paper crafting video. Today is episode 1 of my Gingerbread Christmas series. There's going to be 4 episodes every Tuesday for 4 weeks starting now. I am making a gingerbread house shaped card using dies and some stamps from the Stamps of Life. This is the Gingerbread Fold It die set, and I'm going to turn this into a card. I'm going to show you how, and we're going to do lots of fun things with it. There's also the gingerbread card fold it that's A2 sized that are gingerbread boy and girl. We're going to use those next week. And then we've got gingerbread fun stamp set and coordinating die. I'll be incorporating those in my card today as well. So there's all the fun things from Stamps of Life. Now let's use that gingerbread fold it die set to create a card. So I took an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, folded it in half, and burnished out that fold with my crease tool. I'm laying this outline die onto the cardstock so that the left hand side is off of the fold, and when I cut that, it does not cut the fold, and I've got a great shape for my shaped card. I use that same die to cut a solid single piece that will go right over the top of that and be the base for the gingerbread house that I'm going to build. Now the die that fits inside that is the detail die. That's going to be all the fun parts that we're going to use to turn this into a really yummy and delicious gingerbread house. Like, this was even more fun to build for me than an actual gingerbread house. I love all things gingerbread. I think they're so cute. I make gingerbread cookies from scratch every year. I just love them. But gingerbread houses in cookie form do not bring me as much joy at all. They fall apart. They're messy, but I have done it a couple times. So I die cut this from white and from some Kraft cardstock, and then I'm just going to set to paper piecing this together. So I cut off the little pieces to create my house. The first one being that kind of snowy icing part at the top of the chimney. Next, I am doing the roof line, this white piece right here. I am popping up a lot of the things I love to mention on my cards, so I popped this up. One tip I have for you is to lay it down gently, and then if you don't like how you got it on the first time, it's easy to pick up, put back down, and press it down when you know you've got it where you want it. All right, now I'm going to color up the gumdrops. I think this is my favorite part of the house. I think the gumdrops really make it. It has lots of detail in it, little dots pressed into the paper. Perfect. So I'm going to do some kind of mint green and then this almost purplish pink color for my gumdrops, and I'm just doing every other color. I really like things to be uniform and matchy-matchy, so I am sticking with these 3 colors. The third color is going to be red. I've got to have the red, and I guess, you know, white plays a big part in this card as well because of the icing. You've got to have that icing in white when you're doing gingerbread, I feel, but really, these are just dies and paper, and you can make it any way that you want. You can make it any color that you want. Have fun with it, right? So yeah, this is what is fun to me. So that's what I'm doing. All right, so now I'm just cutting apart these other pieces. They're held together at just a couple points. So once you figure out where to cut, it's actually pretty easy to do. They come apart really easy, almost like cutting off a little tab. So I cut off the little side pieces that I colored like it's candy cane. Oh my goodness, I love candy cane. Candy cane everything for Christmas. Red and white, those are my colors. All right, so then I glued down the candy cane pieces, but I'm popping up the gumdrop pieces and that like extra piece of icing there at the bottom of the doorway. It is coming together so good. I really wanted a red door, but I didn't want to cut the whole entire house out from red, so I just took a scrap, yeah, that's what it's called, a scrap of cardstock, and I partially die cut out that house and then just snipped away the die or the door from that die cut piece, and then I was able to glue that on, and I love that the door opens on this card. It's just an opportunity to add another little cute thing, right? Okay, all of those white circles that go around the door, I am coloring the same colors I used on my gumdrops and my candy stripe pieces. So that mint green, the red, and the kind of purplish pink. And then I'm going to put them around the door, but here's how I'm doing it. I am inlaying that Kraft cardstock back into the paper. Otherwise, my colored dots are going to kind of be inset a little bit because this Kraft cardstock is very thick. I love it. I got it off of Amazon. I'm going to link it for you in the description box below so you can check it out, as well as these dies and stamps from Stamps of Life. They'll be down there as well. And then I'm gluing the little candy droplets, call it, on top of that Kraft cardstock so it's not set down into the paper. It's kind of raised up a little bit and it gives it just a hint of dimension. It looks so good. I love it. All right, now it's time to add more detail. I always say that love is in the details, and that includes adding a little bit of shading. So I am going to put some shading onto my white icing. It just makes the white part look even more white. It gives it a little bit of dimension, a little bit of character, and it's worth the effort. It's so easy to do. You don't have to be like an expert colorist to do this at all. So give it a try. I used N1 and N0 for this, and the N0 is just going to kind of soften that out and, make it look a little bit, I don't know, more shadowy. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, this door, I think you can see it pretty good on camera, but I felt in real life the embossed lines on the door got a little bit lost. So I'm bringing in E59. Here's what I have found with red cardstock. You really have to go a lot darker than your red cardstock in order for anything red to show up, whether it's ink blending or coloring. So I went with that R59, and then I'm softening it out with R37. Now the R37 is almost going to disappear on this red cardstock, but it does soften out that line, and I think really helps. I'm also going to outline that heart that came out of the door a little bit. So cute. All right, so on with the shading. I felt like my gingerbread part of this card really needed some help, some attention. So I'm bringing in E23 and giving it a little bit of shading. Now, one other part I thought maybe I could have shaded was around the door, but I think I'm okay that I left it. But the one part I really love is the little bit of shading around the window. I felt that could have almost used a die to make like a window frame, but you could use 2 circle dies nested together and make your own little frame for that. That wouldn't be hard to do, but the shading worked great. Here I am making a vellum sticker, a piece of vellum backed with some adhesive sheets. That's going to make each of these little triangles a sticker so that I can have a little bit of a frosted look on my windows panes here. So I'm going to do the same thing, inlay the white pieces because I want the back of my window to be white. Then I'm going to peel the backing off of this vellum and stick it right over the top of that white piece. And this works great because I'm doing it on white cardstock with that adhesive on the back of the vellum. I did that on all 4, and there you can see what it looks like. So cute, right? Okay, now it's time for highlights. We did our shading, now we're doing highlighting, but don't think that I'm all the way done with shading because I will come back and add some more here shortly. All right, so white highlights on all the things helps it look shiny. It adds a little bit of visual interest. I love it, especially when you're doing food things, candy, snow, stuff like that, something metal. Those are really helpful to have a highlight with a white gel pen. I used a number 10 because it's such a big project. All right, now for my house, I had to have some candy. So I have these peppermint clay bits. They're from Trinity Stamps. I added to my roof line, and I'm using the smaller piece to create my doorknob on my door. I added one to the back, and then I was going to put the one in the front, and I realized I should probably inlay that little piece that came out of the door itself. So I did that. I did make a little bit of a glue mess, and that's what happens. That's crafting, right? That's what happens when you're making homemade things, and it's way less messy than icing, at least for me. All right, I am making a vellum circle to go behind the heart in the door. So I just put a little glue around that, added the circle. I didn't care if the glue shows through on this because you're barely going to see the back of that, but it gives that heart that soft frosted look, right? So good. Okay, let's do some more shading. I'm going to add a little to my window panes using the N2 marker that seemed to show up best on my vellum, and really, it just brings it to life, doesn't it? And then I realized my candy cane part needed a little bit of shading too. So I did that with my N1 and my N0 markers, and that really, I think, adds to it. I really do. I love that. Okay, remember that this is the card front, and now it's time to stick it down onto that card base. I used tape runner and liquid glue to stick this baby down because it's so big. I also had this leftover white heart from cutting out the front of my card with that white cardstock, so I'm using my N1 and N0 marker to give a little shadow to this, a little shading, and this is going to be a little puff of smoke coming out from the top of the chimney. Now this is an A7 sized card, so approximately 5 by 7. It will fit in a 5 by 7 envelope, and it's so delicious. I love it. But we got to put some stuff inside there, right? Right inside that door. We got to put a little something. So I brought out the Gingerbread Fun stamp set. I'm going to stamp out the boy and the girl. We're going to have one inside the door, one inside the card. Let's do a little bit of coloring. So I'm using my Copic markers. I'm going to use the same colors that I used on the outside. So you've seen these colors before. RV55 is my darkest color for her dress, and I'm going to do an outline. Well, I end up going all the way around. I thought it was going to have like a highlight there on the right. Didn't look great, so I went over it a second time and added that line in. And I really find that sometimes coloring my Copic images, it really helps the blend, the look, to go over these things a second time. So if you're not like in love with your coloring, try giving it a second go over, and it might, end up being perfect. All right, so then we're adding the green. I thought we needed a little green on this as well, so I did the little ruffly parts, the collar, the little scallop at the bottom, with those same green markers that I used for my gumdrops. And I think the minty green is so fun on this. And then there's like little black circles there. They have an opening, but I just felt like the opening was so tiny. I went ahead and colored over it, and I'll come back to it. I used my, or come back to it with a white gel pen, I meant to say, but I wanted to tell you the colors I used for my gingerbread because they're cut off there, sorry. I did E23 and E13. And then you can see, especially on these little gingerbread people, adding the white gel pen, it's magical, right? So good. Okay, so we'll highlight all the things. The freckles, the eyes really help bring these to life and give them so much charm. And then we're going to die cut them out. The coordinating dies for these do not need to be snipped apart. Just sort of point that out because these are the things that make us happy, right? And then die cut those out, and they're ready to go on the card, and they're as cute as could be. I love the little gingerbread stamp set. So I'm going to have the boy be on the inside of the card, and the gingerbread girl, I'm going to have her go inside the door because she most matches the colors that I've got going on the outside of my card. So I'll just glue that right into place. I've got my precision glue press, which came in really handy with those little candy drops on the outside of my card today, and some other tiny things. I don't know if you've used it, but it's becoming one of my favorite ways to put tiny dots of glue onto things. So if you haven't tried it, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I've been using it a lot. All right, so I stamped Have a Sweet Christmas from that Gingerbread Fun set from Stamps of Life on the inside to complete this card. I think it is so much fun. A lot of love went into this card, a lot of fun. So I'm going to really enjoy giving this card this Christmas season. Now, make sure you stay tuned next Tuesday for episode number 2. I'm going to use those A2 gingerbread people and make some gingerbread people shaped cards. And then in the weeks coming, I'll be using some different products, making some ornaments, playing with something very punny. So stay tuned. I can't wait to share it with you. I'll see you all again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.